A name whispered through history, a name that conjures images of fire, madness, and unchecked power. Nero. Was he the monster history paints him to be, fiddling while his city burned, or a misunderstood artist caught in a web of power and betrayal? To understand the man behind the myth, we must journey back to a time of ambition, betrayal, and a legacy forged in fire. Our story begins in the Italian town of Antium on December 15, 37 AD, with the birth of a boy named Lucius Domitius Ahenobarbus. His father, Gnaeus Domitius Ahenobarbus, came from a powerful Roman family, raised to patrician status under Augustus. Sadly, his father passed away in January 41 AD, when young Nero was just 2 years old, leaving him without his inheritance because Emperor Caligula confiscated it. This left Nero in a vulnerable position. But Nero had a formidable mother, Agrippina the Younger, a great-granddaughter of the first Roman emperor, Augustus, and sister to the erratic Emperor Caligula. Agrippina, a woman of cunning and ambition, was exiled for plotting against Caligula, but she returned after Caligula's assassination. Her grand plan was simple. She would marry her uncle, Emperor Claudius, and position her son for the throne. In 49 AD, Agrippina married Claudius. She then pressured him to adopt Nero, making him older than Claudius's own biological son, Britannicus, and thus the rightful heir. It's widely believed that Agrippina then poisoned Claudius with mushrooms in 54 AD to ensure Nero's immediate succession. And so, at just 16 years old, Nero Claudius Caesar Augustus Germanicus became Emperor of Rome, backed by the Praetorian Guard and the Senate. Nero's early years as emperor, from 54 to 59 AD, were actually quite promising. This period became known as the Quinquennium Neronis, or the 5 good years. He had powerful advisors guiding him: his brilliant tutor, the philosopher Seneca the Younger, and the Praetorian prefect Burrus. Agrippina, too, initially had significant influence, even appearing on Roman coins. During this time, Nero implemented several popular reforms, aiming to eliminate corruption and restore power to the Senate. He reduced taxes for individuals and businesses, and even made it legal for slaves to file complaints about their masters. He also showed generosity, ended the hated treason trials, and preferred Greek wrestling and theater over bloody gladiatorial games. He supported public works projects, boosting the Roman economy, and was even praised for his affability and mercy. But Nero harbored a deep passion for the arts. He loved music, poetry, and theater, even seeing himself more as a performer than a ruler. While the common people might have found this endearing, the Roman elite saw it as scandalous and a mockery of the throne. As Nero matured, he began to resent the restraining influences around him. His mother Agrippina, who had initially hoped to rule through him, grew furious as he sought independence. She started to side with his stepbrother Britannicus, Claudius's biological son, who was a legitimate heir. Just before Britannicus was declared an adult, he died suddenly in 55 AD. Many historians believe Nero had him poisoned to secure his own position. But the greatest struggle was with Agrippina herself. By 58 AD, Nero had begun dismissing advisors, a clear sign of his desire for independent rule. Agrippina's constant attempts to control him, combined with her strong opposition to his affair with the noblewoman Poppaea Sabina, pushed Nero to a breaking point. In 59 AD, Nero decided his mother had to die. He tried to poison her. He tried to sink a ship she was on, a ship meticulously designed to capsize and crush her. But Agrippina was a survivor. She was a viper, and a viper is not so easily killed. After the shipwreck, she miraculously swam to shore, battered but unbroken, with the fury of a betrayed queen. Undeterred, Nero sent 3 men to her villa, who then brutally stabbed her to death. As the fatal blow came, she famously bared her stomach and told her executioner to strike the womb that had borne Nero. Nero tried to pass it off as a suicide, but the truth quickly spread. Surprisingly, many Roman officials and even parts of the public congratulated Nero, believing his life had been in danger from her plotting. With his mother gone, Nero was free to indulge his passions, and his personal life became a series of scandals. His first wife was Claudia Octavia, his stepsister and Claudius's daughter. Married at 16, Nero quickly grew tired of her, finding her too virtuous for his tastes, and she couldn't bear him an heir. He even tried to strangle her multiple times. He soon began an affair with Claudia Act, a former slave. His mother Agrippina strongly opposed this, seeing it as a symbol of Nero's independence from her control. This affair became a battleground for their power struggle. But Nero's most significant love was Poppaea Sabina. He divorced Octavia on grounds of infertility and, despite public outcry, exiled her. The Roman people loved Octavia and protested fiercely, carrying her statues through the city. Fearing their resentment, Nero went a step further. He accused Octavia of adultery and had her executed in 62 AD. This was not a public spectacle. It was a private, brutal murder. She was bound. Her veins opened in a traditional Roman bath, a slow, silent death, a final sadistic act of power. Her severed head was then delivered to Poppaea, a gruesome, bloody trophy presented to a new empress. It was a chilling declaration that nothing, not law, not love, not even the will of the people, could stand in the way of his desires. After Poppaea's death, allegedly at Nero's own hand, he was consumed by grief. But in his twisted mind, he found a way to bring his lost love back. It was in the form of a beautiful young boy named Sporus. In an act that horrified the Roman elite and fascinated the common people, Nero had Sporus castrated and formally married him with all the ceremonies, even dressing him as an empress. This act was seen as an abomination by Roman society, but it was widely believed to be an expression of Nero's profound grief for Poppaea. This bizarre union was a testament to his madness and his utter disregard for social and moral boundaries. It was a dark, twisted fairy tale, with Nero as the tragic king and Sporus as his beautiful, broken queen. In 64 AD, disaster struck Rome. On July 18th, a massive fire erupted, likely in merchant shops near the Circus Maximus. Fanned by the wind, it raged for 6 days, then reignited for another 3, ultimately destroying 2/3 of the city. Homes, temples, and markets all burned. Nero was not in Rome when the fire began. He was at his villa in Antium, about 35 miles away, but he rushed back immediately. Upon returning, Nero organized relief efforts, opening his palaces and gardens to shelter the homeless and providing food supplies. However, public suspicion quickly fell on him, fueled by rumors that he had started the fire to clear land for his colossal new palace, the Domus Aurea, or Golden House. To deflect blame, Nero found a scapegoat, the burgeoning sect of Christians. They were subjected to horrific executions, being burned alive, torn apart by dogs, or crucified. This act inadvertently started the Roman policy of persecuting Christians and cemented Nero's infamous image in Christian tradition as the Antichrist. Another significant incident in Nero's governance highlighted his enforcement of existing Roman law regarding slaves. In 61 AD, when the city prefect Lucius Pedanius Secundus was murdered by one of his slaves, an ancient law dictated that all 400 slaves in his household were to be executed. Despite public outcry and riots, Nero upheld the harsh law, commanding soldiers to suppress the protests and enforce the mass execution. In 65 AD, a major plot known as the Pisonian conspiracy aimed to overthrow Nero and restore the Republic. The plot was betrayed, leading to a wave of executions, including Nero's former tutor Seneca, who was forced to commit suicide. This event deepened Nero's paranoia, leading to further purges and a period where even his closest friends could face death. As Nero's rule continued, marked by high taxation, extravagant spending, and increasing tyranny, discontent grew across the empire. In 68 AD, provincial governors began to rebel, notably Gaius Julius Vindex in Gaul and Servius Sulpicius Galba in Spain. Nero seemed surprisingly unconcerned at first, more interested in his palace designs than the growing revolts. But the situation escalated quickly. The final blow came when the prefect of the Praetorian Guard, Nymphidius Sabinus, abandoned Nero and declared support for Galba. This defection from his personal guard was catastrophic. The Senate swiftly declared Nero a public enemy, condemning him to death by the ancient punishment of being paraded naked through the streets and beaten. Upon hearing this, Nero attempted to flee Rome, but found his palace deserted. Even his servants and guards had left. Crying, "Have I neither friend nor foe?" he fled with a small group of loyal freedmen, including Sporus, to a villa outside the city. Facing imminent capture and unable to bring himself to take his own life, he forced his private secretary Epaphroditus to assist him. Just as soldiers arrived, Nero stabbed himself through the throat. His famous last words, uttered in his dying breath, were, "What an artist dies in me." Nero died on June 9, 68 AD, at the age of 30. His death marked the definitive end of the Julio-Claudian dynasty, the imperial line that had ruled Rome since Augustus. His demise plunged Rome into a tumultuous period of civil war known as the Year of the Four Emperors, as various figures vied for power. His third wife, Statilia Messalina, was one of the few courtiers to survive his fall. Sporus, the young boy Nero had married, also survived initially, only to commit suicide later to avoid public humiliation. Nero's legacy remains one of the most debated in Roman history. Ancient sources, primarily Tacitus, Suetonius, and Cassius Dio, were often hostile and written decades after his reign, reflecting the views of the Roman aristocracy who disliked him. However, modern historians offer a more nuanced view. They point to evidence of his popularity among the common Roman people, suggesting his extravagant public works and artistic pursuits might have been attempts to connect with the populace or even stimulate the economy. Many sensational stories, like him fiddling while Rome burned, are now considered literary fabrications or gossip. Fiddles, for example, hadn't even been invented in 64 AD, and he was 35 miles away when the fire started. So, was Nero a misunderstood artist forced into a role he didn't want, or a truly evil tyrant? Perhaps a bit of both. He certainly made terrible choices and committed brutal acts, but his story highlights a crucial point. History is often written by the victors, and perspectives can drastically shape reality. What do you think about Emperor Nero? Should he be remembered as the monster, or does he deserve a more balanced reevaluation? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this journey into Roman history, make sure to like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel for more fascinating stories from the past. Thank you for watching.